Hello everyone. So today's my topic is about suffix trees. This presentation I'm going to give a brief introduction about suffix trees and then followed by what are suffix trees and how they are converted into suffix trees and also a naive approach to build the suffix tree and followed by linear time construction of a suffix tree and also I will present some applications of suffix trees. Suffix trees are the data structures introduced to solve string-related problems, uh, especially exact string matching problem. And suffix trees also build a bridge between exact matching problems and also inexact matching problems. One of the classic application of a suffix trees will be substring problem. So basically, suffix trees are introduced to solve the string problems at that particular point of time. Suffix tries are special data structures used to store strings. So this can be visualized like a graph. So suffix tries consist of nodes and edges. Like for this look at this string. So this can be visualized. This is a trie. So this can be visualized in the form of nodes and edges. Like it starts with a root and then followed by edge. So here we just label the followed by a internal node. So we just label the edges with the characters of the string, so something like this. So if we keep constructing like this, the graph keeps growing. So and then this is how we can visualize the trie for a string. So this can be the string can be visualized. So we use suffix tries for that. So this is about some generic rules about suffix tries. So just like for every edge, it should be labeled with an alphabet. So we can't repeat the alphabets for other edges. If this is labeled as A, this can't be labeled as A. And then so the key is spelled out from the path starting from the root. So from root to leaf node. So we can just get the text we are giving. So we can just read out like A, D, E. So this can be like this is the this is the suffix giving ade. So and then I'm just explaining the importance of terminating symbol. So this helps to enforce the property that there is a one-to-one mapping between the leaves and the suffix trie. So without a terminating symbol can be anything. It can be C, it can be D, but we have to make sure that this is not repeating. This can't be appeared anywhere in the text. So if text is A, B, D, E, so these four can't be used as terminating symbols. It can be like C can be a terminating symbol or F can be a terminating symbol. So this is what basic rules about suffix tries. And for the suffix tries, how many nodes will be there? So the worst case number of nodes. So for the suffix trie, the worst case number of nodes is O of m square. Why? So how? So the maximum number of nodes from top to bottom. So for the text of size m. So for text of size m, so we will have the and then we'll have a terminating symbol. So followed by this. So the longest suffix will be length of the string plus 1. So length of the string is m and then followed by plus 1. So it is like the length of the longest suffix is m plus 1. So this will be m plus 1. And maximum number of nodes from left to right. So maximum number of nodes from left to right will be, so maximum number of distinct substrings of any length less than or equal to m. So here we'll have like different types of substrings for a given string. So this keeps going like this. So like we'll have different substrings for a given string. So from left to right we will obtain different distinct substrings. So this can be we'll have for m characters, we might have m substrings or m minus 1 substrings, m minus 2 substrings. So we can have any number of substrings like banana. So banana, anana is a substring, nana is a substring, ana is a substring, banana can be completely substring. Any string is a substring of itself. So it can be less than or equal to m. So length is bounded by m plus 1 and then width is bounded by m. So in the worst case, the maximum number of nodes a suffix trie can hold is O of m square. So how are we converting from suffix trie to suffix trees? So what are suffix trees? Suffix trees are the compressed version of suffix tries. Here, as we can see, I just demonstrated an example of a given text t. For a given text t, so I just drew a suffix trie. Here I can just compress this and this one. So this is this is a tree. This is a trie where this particular path has no child, like no repeating, no two child, so it has only single child. So this can be compressed as one single edge. So all these single edges can be compressed as one single edge, and this can be written like this. So this way, by compressing all these things, like this can be compressed like be a dollar. So from here it goes to be a dollar, followed by dollar, like this. So all these things can be compressed, and then this can be say be a dollar. So we can compress like this, and then we can form the suffix tree. So previous thing, so I just compress and then just wrote this, and I wrote this one. So how many leaves does this hold? So with respect to m, so for example, if the length of the text given is m, so with respect to m, number of leaves will be m. So obviously, like, number of substrings or number of suffixes will be just going to or bounded by less than or equal to m, as discussed already. So number of leaves will be m. Number of non-leaf nodes will be m minus 1. So in a binary tree, for a given binary tree, if number of leaf nodes is m, then the number of non-leaf nodes is m minus 1. So similarly, for number of leaves is equal to m, number of non-leaf nodes will be m minus 1. So upper bound will be less than or equal to 2m minus 1 nodes in total. So earlier we had like O of m square nodes. We reduced that to 2m minus 1, or in general O of m. So but still it is not the size of O of m. These are the roots, these are the nodes, these are the leaves. These three nodes and leaves can be reduced to O of m, but the size is still O of m square. So it will grow, it keeps growing quadratically. So the space complexity is not reduced here, only the tree size is reduced. Since in the previous compression we are not able to achieve much success in reducing the space to O of m, we are trying to come up with a new approach where we will store the text tree. So for a given text t is equal to a b a dollar, so we'll just assign an offset values. We can store this in an array or something like that. So we can just we can assign some values for this unique. They should be like unique values, like the order of the text. So by using this, we'll just convert the tree's edge labels. So these are the edges and these are the labels given for the edges, a dollar. So we are going to just convert in the form of offset and length. So offset is the starting offset is a value assigned to that particular character. So for this given a, the offset is 0, and the length of this edge is only 1. So since it has only one character, so it's 0, 1. For this it's ba. So for ba, the offset for b is 1. So 1, and the length of this particular edge is 2. ba is 2, so it's 1, 2. So similarly, we just convert all the edge labels in the form of offset and length. This helps us to achieve the space complexity to O of m. So here we are going to store the unique values in the leaf nodes, that and these numbers are going to store the offset given for this particular suffix. For a particular suffix aaba, int is equal to ab aaba. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $6. So it's aaba starts from here. So the offset for aaba suffix is 2. So similarly, we're going to store all the offsets in the leaf nodes. And again, each node's label. So each node's label equals to the concatenated edge labels from the root to the node. So these aren't stored explicitly. We are just going to use the offsets and length and then give the node's label. So for this particular node, the label will be 1, 1 and the length is 2. So it starts with B and the length is 2. So BA. So this node's label will be BA. So we are not storing anything explicitly. We're just using the information we gave earlier to get the node's label. And we since edges also have the string labels and also nodes also have the string labels, we'll have to distinguish the depths to two different types of depth. It's a node depth and a label depth. So for this node depth, so node depth is just wait for this particular leaf node, the node depth is 2, so it's like 1 and 2. So it's in the deep, it's 2 levels deep, so we're just giving a node depth. For the label depth, we have to just add the length of the length of the edges, so it's 2 plus 4 is 6. So these are two types of notions which helps to distinguish between string labels and the node labels. So one of the naive methods we saw earlier is to just build a suffix trie and then just compress those non-branching parts, so which has only like single child, so we just saw earlier. So these can be compressed and then can be formed as a suffix tree, but still building a suffix trie will take O of m square time, so total complexity will just be O of m square. So we need something better than O of m square. So we can see another naive method of building this suffix tree. So we're just going to build a single edge tree representing, first we're just going to take the longest suffix. For t is equal to a b a dollar, so this is the longest suffix. So first we are going to build this, so a b a, and then we are going to add the next longest suffix ab, and then we are going to add next longest. So still the time taken for this will be O of m square, so we just have to check at every node label. So since we can't repeat the labels for outgoing edges, we'll still have to take O of m square time to build this tree, but the space complexity can be reduced to O of m. So but we need something better than that. We need a algorithm which can give us O of m space and time complexity. These are few algorithms which can help us in achieving the goal. So Venus algorithm can be done in O of m square, O of m time, and Becquerel algorithm. But the best method is Euclid's algorithm. So it's given in 1995. It has O of m time and space. It also uses the concepts from Becquerel, and it has like this specific online property. So if t arrays one character at a time, so like if for a given t is equal to a b a dollar, so for each character at a time, Euclid's algorithm can efficiently update the suffix tree. So once the suffix tree is built, suppose we build a suffix tree for a b a already, but still if we add another character like c, so for this character the Euclid's algorithm can update the entire suffix tree or again. So for each arrival, so Euclid's algorithm can efficiently update this. So this is the best all-in property given by this Euclid solution. So and also we have another method where we can use suffix arrays and LCP, longest common prefix array construction. So this can be constructed in O of m time. It means like we can construct the suffix tree also in the O of m time. So these are few solutions which can be used to finish the linear time construction of suffix trees. So this algorithm constructs a sequence of implicit suffix trees, the last of which is converted into true suffix tree for a given string. So what is an implicit suffix tree? So for a given suffix tree, if we remove all the terminating label from the edge, if we remove the terminating symbol from all the edge labels, and if we remove all the edges that doesn't have any label, so if we remove terminating symbol from one edge label, this edge will not have any label. So since we removed the terminating label, we can remove this edge also. So first terminating symbols are removed, then edges are removed, and we are also removing any node that doesn't have at least two children. So for example, so this comes with c and dollar. Since we removed this terminating symbol and also we removed this edge, we can remove this node as well, and then we can just combine this thing in the previous edge and to the previous node. So by doing all these things, we can just get all the implicit suffix trees for a string s. So uh, from here we'll just take it to the explaining how these implicit suffix trees are just similar to the suffix trees, and how we will be able to use them to obtain the O of m complexity. So as it is demonstrated again for the construction of implicit suffix tree, we are just removing all the terminating symbols. This and here, since we are removing all the terminating symbols, here we can remove this complete agent node. So since we removed that terminating symbol, this is of no use. We just remove that, so we can just remove this one as well. We can remove this one. So since we removed all three here and we removed all terminating symbols, one suffix general suffix tree will just look something like this. So this is implicit suffix tree, this is the suffix tree. So to avoid this kind of issues, we add dollar, so terminating symbol, so just for us to get the suffixes of everything. So here we can see that see ea is a prefix of a suffix, so bxa. So to get the suffix a, so for a given string, if we have to get the only suffix a, so if suffix a, so it will not reach the leaf. So there is no way it can reach the leaf. So to avoid such things, we add the terminating symbols. If we go here, so we can get the suffix a. So a dollar gives the suffix a for us, this one. So to avoid this, we are using dollar symbol. But to construct the implicit suffix trees, we are removing everything to just keep the tree as simple as possible. So I'm just giving the Euclid's algorithm generic in generic words. So basically, Euclid's algorithm is divided into m phases. So for each phase, again, we'll be doing m extensions. So for in each extension, we will be adding a new label or something like that. So we have some extension rules which we will discuss later. So this is a generic construction algorithm of Euclid. So these are some generic extension rules we use for building the suffix tree. So rule 1 extension says like, so for a given t is equal to a, b, d, e dollar. So when we encounter a new character, we just go to the end of all edges and then we add new character from the string at the end of all the leaves. So for all the leaves, we just go there and we add it. So for like if it is like a, b, d, so we just add e also there. So a dollar, so we add c. So for another thing, it's like b, d, e dollar, then we add c again. So for e dollar, we add c again. So for every edge, every path we just travel to the end, we add the new layer, new character. So this is rule 1 extension. So rule 2 extension says like if there is no path for that character, so here we have no path directly from the root to the character c, so we just create one and we just label that with the new character. So rule 3, if there is already a path exists, so next comes label a. So but see for label a, a, b, d, we just write like this. So if we come with a again, so we check from the root. So when we check from the root, so we have a path to a. So we have a path to a, so we do nothing. So we just update and we just do nothing. So these are the three generic extension rules we keep using all the time to build the suffix trees. So once we find where we should do the extension, so this extension rules can take only this can be done in constant time. So again, another naive solution is like where we can where it is given in O of, sorry, this is O of m cube time. So for every we have to do this for m parts. So for m parts, we will do at least O of m squared work. So in together it will be like O of m cube time taken, but better than the other naive solutions are much better than this. So we will not use this at all. So we need some other information like suffix links and some tricks like skip and count trick, edge label compression, and showstopper and global end leaves. These are some tricks we use to reduce the complexity to of m. So what are suffix links? How we will use this? So for every internal node v, the part t alpha, there is another node sv with alpha here, which is a suffix link of v. So when alpha is null, then suffix t is the root. So I'll just explain the suffix link using an example. But before that, some generic information where do all the internal nodes have suffix links? Yes, every internal node will have a suffix link. Link. It will either point to the another internal node or to the root. So in a given for a given phase, if in two extensions, if we are able to get two suffix links, this suffix link will point to the next suffix link, or else if there is only one suffix link for a particular phase, it will just point to the root. But all internal nodes will have suffix links. And how to create suffix links? So just like I explained, so when one internal node is created during an extension of a phase, there's another internal node created during the next extension of the same phase. So in one phase, if we have like 2-3 extensions, so if we have one internal node created here, and if we have another internal node created in this extension, so there comes the suffix links between those two internal nodes. If there is no such two internal nodes, only one internal node is created in one phase, then there will be suffix link established to the root from that particular node. So this is how we create suffix link. I just wrote the definition of again how the suffix link is established between two internal nodes. Here I will demonstrate using this example for this given t. So I just do this suffix tree for this way. So for given, these are the internal nodes. So the a, b, c, and d and e also internal nodes. For internal node a, we have yx. Sorry, this is xy actually. So this is xy in this direction. So x is t and y is alpha. So we have only y for node b. So for another node b, we have alpha. So since we have alpha for another s of v, like for s of a, so this b can be a suffix link of a. This is wrong. This is xy. So similarly, let's take this example. For c, x, y, z, and we have d with y and z. So here t is simply the first character. So on alpha yz, so we have alpha for d yz. So d is the suffix link of c. This is how we just create suffix links between the internal nodes. These are some formal information representing the. This is another important thing trick we use to obtain the OFM time complexity. So skip and count trick. So this will be explained by using an example. So here again we have edge label representation. This is a formal information required about the edge label representation. So edge label compression is another trick we use. So I'll just explain this with an example. So for a given t is equal to xyz x dollar. So here we just draw the suffix trees. So this here okay, I'm not explaining suffix tree construction here. I'll just show you how this can be compressed to the edge label compression. So just as we described in the edge uh, label compression in the tries, it is much similar. So it's like, see, for x the offset is 0, and it's just only x, so it's just from x to x, so it's 0 comma 0, so the label is 0 0. And for x y z x, so for this particular suffix, so the offset starts from 1 and it goes till 4, so it is 1 comma 4. There we just gave the length, so length of the uh, length of the length of the edge label. Here we are using from where to where, so from this particular offset to this particular offset, we are just giving that one. So here for dollar it is 4 and it's only 4 till 4, so it's only 4 comma 4. And here yz x dollar, again from here yz x dollar, so here it's like from 1 to 4, so 1 to 4, zx dollar from 2 to 4, so 2 to 4. Similarly, like this, we use this edge label compression to reduce the space complexity to of m. So just like in the tries, we are using this to reducing the space. Without this edge label compression, we can't reduce the space complexity a lot. So, and also the runtime would never get better than O of m square if we don't use this trick. Showstopper is another important trick we'll be using. So for a particular string with the nodes, if there is an A, B going like this, so if we encounter A, B, D dollar, if we encounter A again, since it already exists here, so here there's a path existing from uh, root to this particular character, so we will do nothing. So this rule tree is a showstopper. So from this, since we are doing nothing, we just move to the next phase. So this is very important trick we use in building the suffix trees. This is just formal information. So what another important trick we use is global end for the leaves. So what is global end? So earlier we used uh, the offsets for the edge labels. So here we are using the ends. So instead of saying 1,4, so it's from Y to dollar. So instead of saying from 1 to 4, we will be like 1 to 8. What's the use of this? So if there comes a new character A, so we not update any of these edge labels. We can simply update n is equal to n plus 1. We can increment n plus 1, and all the rule 1 extensions, like what is the rule 1 extension? We have to add this new character at every edge label. So all these edge labels, by simply incrementing the one variable, we can simply add this at every edge label, and rule 1 can be done at free of cost. So active points, these are another important topic which we need to build a suffix trace. Active points are the points from which next extension or next phase will start. So for a given t is equal to a, b, d, e. So if the phase, these are like m phases. So I starts from here. So for the ith phase here, we have some metrics to that help us to move from the particular edge, or how to insert a new character coming, or how to create new edge. So all these things we need some metrics to keep a track of it. So all those metrics are active node, active edge, and active length. So active node gives us the information from which node we'll have to traverse, from which node we'll have to go. Active edge gives us the information on which edge. So if this is the active node, we have like so many edges coming out of that node, so we'll have to get a track of which active edge will be going. So active edge is nothing but the offset of this text. So this is 1 0 2 3. If we'll have to traverse to the b, this is the then the b offset is 1, so active edge will be 1. So we'll go in the path of b, and an active length will give us at which particular point it is pointing. Like it can be b, d, e. If we want to point at d, so it will be like 2. So we'll have to move from the node, active node, in the direction of active edge to the active length point. So from this particular point, we'll have to check on how to proceed further for the next extension. So here I am just giving out the entire information. This can be read and understood. So here I'm explaining about rule 2 and active points, how rule 2 and active points come together, help us to just create new edge label. And similarly, I'm taking an example here to explain all the active points and then the edge label. So first we'll take an example XYZ, XYA, XYZ dollar. So this is a given. So these are the offsets for that. We'll start at the ith phase. For ith phase, the remaining. So remaining helps us to keep a track of how many more suffixes are left for us to finish, for us to draw the suffixes. So remaining helps us to keep a track of the suffixes which are still left to be created. And active node and active edge, active length are already discussed. And end, so this is the global end. So global end is also already discussed. So global end will help us to finish the rule 1 extension at less time and free of cost. So we use global end for this. So first we'll create a root, and at phase 1, so we'll increment the remaining by 1. So we are just moving the I, so we are just incrementing by 1. And active node will be root. In the initially, these are the initial values. So active node will be root, so this is the root. So active edge, so since active length is 0, one rule is when active length is 0, we'll have to check if there is a path from root to that particular node we are seeing, to the ith node. So since there is no path, we'll create one. So we'll create x, and we will decrement the remaining to 0. So whenever remainder is greater than 0, we have to keep checking, we have to keep updating these active nodes. And if there is no path, we'll have to keep creating one, and we'll have to keep updating this all these values. So every one end label, end metric is something which keeps incrementing. Whenever we shift to a new phase, it keeps incrementing irrespective of this things. So but these things can depends upon the remaining. So while remaining is greater than 0, we'll have to keep updating this. So now we have this particular thing. So from here we'll have to check. So now r is equal to 0. So now again we are moving to next phase, so that r will become 1. So again all these things are still the same, and we'll check. We'll just increment the n by 1. So first we'll increment the remaining, and then we'll increment the r. So from here we'll check. So it's x. We actually write this. This is the convention we use for the edge labels, but just for the understanding of the problem, I'm just using the characters just like that. So this is the root label. From here I constructed x in the previous I is equal to 0 phase. Now 1 incremented to I is equal to 1 phase. So here from x, I will have to check. The example is x, y, z, something like that. So here I is equal to 1, we have y. So do we have a path xy? So no. So we'll have to actually when the uh, when global end is 1, just like I told, so we'll have to go to every end and we have to add y. That's free of cost. So first thing we do is, whenever we encounter a new character, we just go to every edge table and we add y in the we add a new character in the end. So first we added that. Now we'll have, since active length is still 0, we'll have to check if there is a new path from root to y. Since there is not one, I'll create one. So this is new path. So now that I create a new leaf, again I'll have to decrement the remainder to 0. Now again, so this is the phase we are in right now. Now again we'll have to update to the phase. Since r is 0, again we'll have to go to next phase. I is equal to 2. So for I is equal to 2, z. So we'll have to check. We'll have to add z, rule 1 extension. Again we'll have to increment the global n by 2. Since it's incremental, we'll just add everything. So once we are added this, we'll have to check. Since active length is 0, again we'll have to check if there's a path from root to z. Since there is none, we'll have to create one. So this is z. So again we'll just decrement the remaining to 0. Again from there we'll just increment. So just like I told earlier, so now again we'll have to decrement the remainder to 0. These are just like the previous one. So now again I'll have to check for the next character. So sorry, I'm just T. Now again I'll be moving to the next phase. So since r is 0, I'll moving to the next phase. Again x is equal to 3. So I is equal to 3, it's x. So I'll just update. I'll have to update r and global n. So it's r is 1 and n will become 3. So from this I'll have to check. I'll have to add x in the every end. So x, it was supposed to be x, y, z. I'll have to add x now again. So it was y, z. I'll have to add x again, and it was only z. I'll have to add x again. So since active length is 0, I'll have to check if there's a path from root to x. Since there is already one here, so it's a showstopper. It's a rule tree. So since there is a path from the root and from the rule tree extension, the stopper trick, so this phase ends. So we'll have to end this phase and we do nothing and we'll start the next phase. So here it will be, we'll not update anything and we just change to the next phase. So when we go to the next phase, no, actually we'll do nothing with this remaining thing. We're not updating the remaining. We'll have to update e global n. So we'll have to update the n to 4 and we'll have to update where it is, like we are pointing it to here. So active edge and active length are also to be updated. So active edge will become 0 because x is 0. So this is the active edge pointing to 0 and active length is 1. It is pointing in the first place. So its active length will become 1. And then we are not updating the remaining and we just move to the next phase. So when we move to the next phase, we will have to increment the remaining by 1. So now r will become 2 and we'll have to see where we have to start from again. So we'll have to start from this particular pointer. So we'll see the next character is y. So we'll have to add y by default. Since we incremented n value, we have to add y and we have to check if there is y after this particular x. So since there is y, again it's a the rule tree extension and showstopper. So we'll have to just increment the edge is same, but active length is different. So we'll have to increment the active length by x1 2, and so we just increment it by 2, and we have to increment the edge by next phase. We have to shift to the next phase. We have to increment the edge by 5, 5, and then we have to increment the remainder by 1, so it will become 3. So right now these are the values we have. So now r is 3, and we have to by default, since we incremented the n, we'll have to add a at all the ends. Now a we'll have to check at this. Now it is pointing here, so active edge here and active length is here. So we'll have to check if we have a followed by this. We do not have a here, so since we do not have a, we'll have to add one. So we'll have to break this here, and we'll have to add a rule 2 extension. So once there is no new part, we'll have to create one, and since I added, I'll just rewrite everything. So here I just rewrote everything. So this is how the tree changed. Now we create a new internal node just from the internal nodes from the suffix links. When a new internal node is created, we'll have to create a suffix links to the root. So I just created suffix links to the root, and if there is another internal node created in the same phase, like in this particular phase, we are here in this particular phase, but this is one extension. If there is another extension in the same phase, and if we are able to create another internal node, we can change from root to that particular internal node. But so far here there is only one internal node, so I'll be pointing that to the root. And since we created a new leaf node, we are decrementing the remainder by 1, so it becomes 2, and then we decrement the active length by 1, and then we are incrementing the active edge by 1. So this is the active edge right now, so it will be pointing it here, and then active length is only 1 here. So after this we'll increment the phase. So we'll just so since the remainder is not equal to 0, it's still greater than 0, I'll have to since the remainder is still there and active length is 1, so we'll have to check how to proceed further. So we'll have to check from the root. So active node is root. From the root, we'll have to go in the terms of 1, active edge is 1, so 1 in terms of y direction, so in the direction of this direction, and active length 1. So here I'll have to check if there is a, this particular a after this y. So there is none, so I'll have to create one. So let me create one. Now I created another path where I divided this into 2 parts. So again there is another internal node created. So in the same phase, the other extension, there is another internal node. So we'll have to change the suffix links from root to this internal node. So I'll have to change this from this. But for this, I'll have to point it to the root again. So if I create another internal node, then I can point this to the one. But so far, it has to be the root. Every internal node should have a suffix link. So I just pointed to the root. Now since I just created a new leaf node, I'll decrement by remainder by 1, and then active edge is not 0, and active node is still the root. I'll have to increment active edge by 1, it turns into 2, and I have to decrement active length by 1, so it becomes 0. Since active length is 0, I'll have to check if there is a if there is a path from root to this particular character a. So since there is none, I'll have to create one. So I'll create one, so it'll be pointing to a. So since I create a new leaf node, I have to decrement the remaining to 0. So now I'll have to shift to new phase x. We'll be moving to the next phase. I is equal to 6, it is x, so we'll have to increment the n by 6. So I'll just increment the n by 6. So once I incremented the n by 6, so I'll have to add x in the every edge table. So once I'm able to add x, Now I'll have to check if there's a path from root to the x. So since I have already one, this is a showstopper. So I'll just have to, sorry, I had to increment the reminder by 1 also previously for me to start to the next phase. So since it's a showstopper, I'll have to do nothing. I'll have to just update the active edge and active label. So active edge will change to 0, active label will change to 1. So since it is in the point of the direction of a 0 index and first length, so I have to update this one, and then I will have to step to the next phase. So for I is equal to 7, now for I is equal to 7, I'll have to update the edge to 7, sorry, end to the 7. So since I updated the end to the 7, I'll have to add y at every end, according to rule 1 extension for free of cost. So now for I is equal to 7, I have to check. Now it is pointing here, so I'll have to check if there is a y after this point. So since there is y already, so it's again rule 3 extension showstopper. So I'll have to do nothing. I'll have to since I already, so for starting this I phase, I had to update the reminder again, so it's already 2. Now again for this, it's a showstopper. I'll have to quit everything. I'll just have to update the active length to 2, and I'll have to move to the next phase. So now I'll have to go to, sorry, it's y here already, so it's y. Now I'll have to go to z8, I is equal to 8. So since I moved to I is equal to 8, I'll have to update the n to 8, and I'll have to update the remaining again. I'll have to add 1, so h will become 8, sorry, n, I think n becomes 7. So since we start from -1, n becomes 7. I lost it somewhere. So for I is equal to 8, n becomes 7, and then the remaining is 2. So since rule 3 again, for new phase, for I is equal to 3, we'll have to sorry, it's 8 only, I'm sorry. So for I is equal to 8, 9 will become 7, sorry, n will become 8 again, and since we have to add the remainder again, it will become 3. So we'll have to check if there is a z after y. Yes, there is a z after y, but we'll have to jump to an internal node. So we had to jump to this node. I forgot to add a suffix link. So there is a suffix link here, there's a suffix link here. So now I have to move to this particular node to reach z. So now I'll have to update the active node to, okay, I'll just name this node to A and this node to B. So I'll have to move to the node A. So I'll have to update this node to A, and I'll have to increment active edge to 2, and active length will become 1 again. So 2, because Z, it's on the index 2, I'll have to go to 2, and it's on the first length 1. So I'll have to go to the 1. So since it's an internal jump, again rule 3 extension stop. So but I had to sorry, according to rule 1 extension, I had to add Z everywhere. So I had to add Z everywhere, I forgot. So I added Z everywhere, and then I stopped it. So now I'll have to move to rule, so I is equal to 9, so I'll have to update. So now I'll change the values. Now the active node is A, and then it was supposed to be 2, right? Now I'll have to increment to I is equal to 9. For new phase I is equal to 9, the R will be 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, and H will become, N will become 9, and active node will become, from, since it is internal node, I'll have to travel to the suffix tree. So I'll have to travel to the suffix tree, and then it becomes B. So active node becomes B, and according to the, since I incremented n by 1, I'll have to add dollar at every end. So dollar here, already dollar is there, dollar, I added everywhere dollar, and active node will become B, and active edge is still 2, and active length is 1. Sorry, I decremented earlier, so active length is still 1. So I'm not changing this. So now from root node B, I'll have to check active edge 2, active length 1. So active edge 2 is in the direction of Z, so I'll have to go here and I have to check here. So for active length 1, here if there is a dollar symbol, there is no dollar symbol, so I'll have to create one. So I'll have to create dollar here. So I'll have to split this one again. So I'm not able to split, so I'll just write it here. So dollar, I just created another internal node, dollar. So I'll have to point this to the root. So every internal node created should point itself to the root. So I'll just explain everything in the next slide again. So I'm drawing the tree again. So this is a root node. From here it is a, x, y, z and dollar. And again I had another node here. Here z, x, y, a, x, y, z, dollar. And from here it is a, x, y, z, dollar. And this is node, internal node B, this is root node, and here I had z, y, sorry, z, x, y, a, x, y, z, dollar. Again here I had x, y. From here I had z, x, y, a, x, y, z, dollar. I had a, x, y, z and dollar. So right now this is the tree we have, and these are the suffix links we have from here to here, and here to here. Sorry, these are suffix links from here to here and from here to here. Since remaining is tree, and since we jumped to the node B already, I'll have to check if there is a here, so the dollar symbol here. So since there is no dollar symbol here, I'll have to create one. So I'll just have to erase this and Z. I'll have to divide this. So I'll have to divide this into dollar and remaining rest of the things, x, y, a, x, y, z, dollar. So since I have to I got the new leaf, I have to update the remaining to 2. So now the remaining is 2, and since decremented, and then since active node, so since there is another active node created, I'll have to point this to the root. So I pointed this to the root. Now the active node will change to the root. So we'll just travel from this to the root. So from root we'll have to check for active edge is equal to 1, active length is equal to 1. Active edge, so active edge is 2 and active length is 1. So we have to travel in the form of in the z direction, so in this direction. So here is z, and active length is 1, so it have to pointing here. So we'll have to check if there is a dollar here. So since there is no dollar, I'll have to create one. I'll just create one quickly. So it comes to z, and I'll have to divide it into dollar, and the rest of the things go on the other side. Z, x, y, a, x, y, z, dollar. So since I created new leaf node, so there is another internal node created. So I'll have to change this internal node's point from root to this particular internal node. So I'll have to erase this one, and I'll have to point this to this particular internal node. So there is a new suffix created from this to this. So now I'll have to check. So now since there is new leaf created, I'll have to update the reminder. So now it will change from 2 to 1. So from 2 to 1, now active nodes is still the root, and I'll have to decrement the active length by 0, so it will become 0. So now since active length is 0, I'll have to check if there is a root from root node to dollar. So since there is I'll have to create one. So since I created new leaf node, I'll have to decrement r to 0. So finally I have created the suffix tree using all the active nodes information. Sorry, here I missed one. So I already created, when we jumped from here A node to B node, we created a dollar symbol here. I forgot to add that one. Wait. So I'll have to erase this one. So here I create another internal node. So here I added dollar previously, and here X, Y, A, so X, Y, Z, dollar. So YZ dollar, and this internal node will be pointing to the root. So sorry, this internal node will be pointing to the new internal node created over here. So this one. So initially it was pointing to the root. When we jump to here and then we created this node, it just jumped to the new internal node. So this is a suffix tree created, complete suffix tree. And so we can check for any particular suffix, we'll find it here. For example, let us take X, Y, A, X, Y, Z dollar. So we have to go X in the root of X, Y, A, X, Y, Z, X dollar. So this is the suffix for that particular thing. So just to avoid this checking, manual checking, we are adding edge labels. So earlier we used the edge labels, right? So we will be not using actual characters in real implementation. We'll store the range. So for example, it will be like 3 to 9. So 3 to 9. So we'll store like that. And finally, there's one more step to be done. So we'll have to add the offsets in the leaf node. So we'll have to add these offsets. So these offsets are added by just a small trick. So these offsets, we need the indexes at the leaf node. So we need to know the starting point of the part in that particular string. So we need to do a BFS and keep the count of that. So for this, for example, let us take this one. So this one, so it is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So 9 minus, so it's sorry, it's 8. It's 10 actually. So it's 0 to 9, it's 10. So 10 minus 8, it is 2. So the starting is at 2. So for this suffix, it starts at 2. So from this point, so it starts at 2. This is the suffix for this. So similarly, we'll have to subtract. So here is a root node. So it is 1 2. So 1 2. So I'll have to subtract 10 minus 2 is 8. So it will start at 8. So here it will start at 8. So Z comma dollar. So it starts at 8. So similarly, we'll have to subtract from the total string length, and then we'll have to subtract the range. We not count individually. We subtract the total sum of the indexes. We'll subtract this range from the total index, like this total m. Sorry, from the m. So and then we just write. So here it will be 10 minus 10. It will be 0, and here it will be 10 minus 3. It's 7. Here it will be 10 minus 9, it is 1, and similarly here it is 10 minus 6, it is 4. So similarly we just write the edge. Here it is 9, so 10 minus only 1, it is 9. So here it is 5, 10 minus 1 2 3 4 5, so it's 10 minus 5 is 5. Similarly we create indexes by the end, so if we get a track of where the index is starting. Since all these operations, all these active operations, all these node extensions can be done in constant time, for every character it takes constant time for us to update the suffix tree. So for m characters, for string length of for string t of length m, it takes O of m time to construct a suffix tree. So this can be done in linear time. So this is another method where we can prove that suffix tree can be built in linear time by using suffix arrays and least common prefix. So here we first take a string banana dollar, and then we just write all the suffixes for banana dollar. So this is the for banana. So we write all the suffixes and we just sort them in the form of ascending order, descending order. We just sort them. So first A comes A, and then B and N. So we just sort them, but it is not possible to store these lexical values since these are too large. Banana is small, but for larger text values, it is not possible to store the values. So when we construct a suffix tree for banana like this, so in the leaf nodes we'll be getting an offset, right? So just like in the previous occurrence, I explained how to create this offset. We just subtract no, we just get the offset for this. Sorry, since like I explained in the try, we get the offset for this particular suffix, and we just write it here. So if it is dollar, it's only 6. If it is $, it is 5. It starts from $, so it's 5. So like you can also, you can just construct the tree and you can subtract, and you can still, you will get the same offsets. So we'll just take the offsets and we'll write them. We'll just write them. So by after writing the offsets for this sorted lexical suffixes, we'll construct an LCP for this. So least common prefix is, so if there is a common prefix here in this particular two strings, so we'll just write that. So since there is no common prefix is the starting one. So since there is none, it's 0. Least common prefix is 0. Since for this one, so for this and this, there's a least common prefix A, so there's one common prefix, so I write 1. So for next 3 and 1, so there's A and A, 3 common prefix, so I write 3. Similar, it's 0, 0, 2. So suffix array is nothing but the permutation of the suffix labels or suffix indices. So this is a permutation, right? So this is one of the permutations. So suffix array, you can construct, say, from, if we can construct from the top to bottom, it will be another permutation. So suffix arrays are nothing but the permutation. So this takes O of t space because it's just number of characters in the text t. It's m. So or that is O of t. So it takes O of t space. So longest common prefix is constructed by looking at the adjacent elements in the suffix arrays, just like I told, like we find a common and we just write a count. So now the goal is to sort the suffix array so we can build the suffix tree. So once the suffix array is sorted, we can build the suffix tree from that, right? So if we have sorted suffixes and LCP, least common prefix we found earlier, if we have these both, and if we can build suffix tree using Cartesian tree of LCP, we'll in linear time, then we can build a suffix, sorry, if we can build this sorted suffixes, if we can sort the suffixes and if we can find LCP in linear time, we will be able to build the suffix tree using the Cartesian tree of LCP in linear time. So if we can do this, we can do the suffix tree in linear time. So that is what that is our main goal. So one second. So if we can do this in linear time, we can do this in linear time. So we'll take, so to construct the Cartesian tree, we'll just take the minimum values in the arrays and make it as a root, and then we'll recurse on the both sides. So here we have 3 minimum values as shown in the previous LCP. We had values like LCP values are 0, 1, 3, 0, 0 and 2. So since we had 3 lower values, three minimum values, we'll just take all the 3 values as a root. Generally we take one minimum value, but here we take all the minimum values as a root, and then we have 1, 3, 2. So we just go 1, 3 and 2. So this tree will be much similar to the suffix tree, except that it doesn't have the leaf nodes. So we just add the leaf nodes also. So these leaf nodes are nothing but the offsets. So these numbers, these 1, 3, 2 are numbers represent letter depths of the internal nodes. So for this leaf node, these are just like same leaves of the suffix tree. These are the sorted suffixes. This is the Cartesian tree obtained from the LCP. So from these values, we draw a Cartesian tree. So from this, we are going to use this information to build the suffix tree in linear time. So this is the suffix tree construction algorithm. So it takes O of t, that is m, that is the length of the string, and we have to sort. So we have to sort the suffix tree where all children are labeled in particular node. So we have to be sort this we also have to be sort the letters of the alphabet. I mean, to get a nice suffix tree, we'll have to sort the sort these suffix tree values. So for that, first we are going to sort the alphabet. So since it is a small alphabet, like I'm taking it to be a constant, so and I can do this in linear time sorting using radix sort or something like that. So first I'm sorting the alphabet, and then I'm replacing each letter by its rank, by its index in sorted order. Uh, this is the second step. So just like I told, like first for every letter, for every lexically it's not possible to store everything, so I'm just storing them in the form of offset values. So similarly, I'm just replacing each letter of the alphabet by its rank in the alphabet. So I'll just for A the rank can be 1, so for B the rank can be 2. I'm just replacing those values. So here the idea is the third step. From the third step, so we're going to take the third ith letter, then we are going third ith plus 1 letter and third ith plus 2 letter, and then concatenate all these three values to form a triplet. So we'll form a triple letter. So this I can start from 0, 1 to anywhere. So I can start from the first letter or second letter and do, but we have to do for all the letters. So once we finish this, we'll start the recursion. So but the point is, I want to represent all the suffixes of t. So all the suffixes of t has to be represented. So suffix could start from the position 0. Yeah, for t is equal to a, d, b, e. So the suffix can start from 0, 1, 2, 3. So it can start from here, it can start from here, it can start from here. So it can start from anywhere. So but if I'm able to sort all these suffixes, so if I get suffixes this one here, if I can get suffix this one here, so but if I'm able to sort all the suffixes, I would effectively sort if I mean like these small suffixes like this t1 t2, if I'm able to sort all the suffixes, I will be able to sort the suffix t. So complete string tree, original text, I will be able to sort this. So it's like I'm just dividing and conquering. So first I'm dividing the text into sub things, like the main concept is I'm taking the third ith letter and then third ith plus 1, third ith plus 2. From there I'm just sorting those individual suffixes to finally sort the original text. So this doesn't really change anything just because we are dividing and conquering. And next we'll followed by recursion. So recursion we'll be doing on t0 and t1, and so we'll concatenate these both. So it's of 2 by 3 size. It has like characters. I mean 2 by in sense 2 by 3 of n size. In sense it has 2 by 3 n number of characters. So because t0 has 1 by 3 number of characters, since we are taking from the third ith letter, so t0 has 1 by 3 characters and t1 has 1 by 3 characters. When we concatenate them, so we have t2 by 3 n characters, and then we are taking O of n time to concatenate and sort this. So finally, if we solve this recursion, we'll be able to get it in O of a linear time. So recursion can be done in linear time. So this can be done in linear time. So next for radix sort of t2 suffixes. So we are done with t0, t1 for the t2 suffixes in linear time. We can use radix sort for solving this. If we look at the suffix t2 of I, so it has same thing as t from t of 3i plus 2 from t of ti plus 3. So which can be ticked off like this first characters is, if these first characters are removed, then the next characters will just let us think of something like t0 t1. So if we strip the first character, first letter, then I get a suffix that we already know about. So we already know about t0 and t1, we already concatenated, we already know. So we're just stripping off the first letters, and that letters, see, if we strip off the first letter in this, so we'll get the t0 suffixes. So this is already sorted here, this is already sorted, and similarly I'll be able to strip off the if I'm able to effectively strip off the first characters and get the information, change it to the modify it to the information I already know, then it's easy for me to sort T2 also. So here, now once I'm able to sort all these things, the next step is merging. So for the merging of characters T0 and T1 with suffixes of T2. T0 and T1 we already concatenated in previous step. So those two are already done. So we have to add the suffixes T2. So completely it can be done to T. So overall T can be sorted. So first for that I'll compare T0 of I with T2 of Z. Okay, so first I'll strip the first letter, and when I strip the first letter of this, it will be T1. So because T0 starts from the third ith letter, then followed by T1, then T0, T1. So it goes like that, right? Since we took the sorry, it's third letter. So sorry, so it will be T0, T1, T2, something like this. So it keeps going on. So when I type of the first letter, it just gives me the T1. So T1 suffix is given for me. So when I type the first letter, it turns into T1 suffix. So similarly for T2, if I strip the first letter of it, then again it comes to T0, right? So it turns into T0 suffix. So we already know how to compare T1 and T0. We already sorted them. Similarly, so since we already know that, we remove the first stripe, we stripe off the first two letters, and then we compare T1 and T0. That's nothing but we are just doing this for T2 but without a letter. Similarly for T1 versus I and T2 versus J. Here we did for T0 and T2. Here we have to do it for T1 and T2. Here instead of stripping, if I strip only one letter, so if I strip one letter of T1, then I'll go back to T2 again, so which I don't know. So I'll have to strip two letters. So T1 and T2, if I strip two letters, I'll be taken to T0 again. So if I strip two letters, it will be taken to T0 again. If I strip two letters from T2, I'll be taken to T1. So T2, T0, then again it will be taken to T1. So T1, so I'll have to compare again T0 of I which versus T1 of J. So this comparison again I know T0 and T1 comparison we already made. So this gives T1 suffix and T0 suffix. Finally, I'll be able to merge all this. Here the whole point is it is working because we divided it into three, and we are taking for three letters. We have concatenation of three letters, triplet. So it will work only if we have three suffixes. It will not work for two suffixes. So successfully we are able to merge it to T. So it's like dividing and conquering, but different type of dividing and conquering. So it's like we are dividing it and we are just conquering first two, and then when I have to and then I have to conquer one part of this with the rest of the thing, and the other part with the rest of the thing. So for this I'm just making some few tricks like stripping off the first letters and then concatenating them. So similarly I can just merge all this, then I'll get the sorted. So this can be done in linear time again, so O of t time. But the problem is the algorithm is O of t plus sort of alphabet. So this is the problem. So we are not sure how much time it will take for us to sort the alphabet. So this also has to be included. But still, when we just ignore this to be a constant alphabet, so we can just achieve this in linear time. So we can use radix sort when we recurse for this sorting of alphabet. So but still we'll have to pay at least alphabet time for this. So exact matching problem is one of the important applications of suffix trees. Here we are given a pattern of length n, and we are given a text of length m. So generally in these cases we'll take at least order of uh, m and time in naive solutions, where every letter of pattern is compared with every letter of m. So this can't be this can be reduced to O of n plus m, or it can be reduced to O of m time, where uh, we'll just traverse to the text only once, and then we will use pattern we'll just use pattern to keep moving, and we will not recursively search in the text. So this is the solution which we can achieve by using suffix trees. So here what is the exact problem? So we have to match all the characters of P along the unique path of this suffix tree until P is exhausted. So we'll have to go down the tree if P is over, like P is only 3 characters, and if we have a path of 5 characters, if P is exhausted, then we found the match, we got the match already. If we don't find P anywhere in T, then it is other case that we didn't find the match. But with the starting here, suffix tree approach, it spends O of m time pre-processing the text. So it will take only O of m time, so we need not recursively keep pre-processing that, so we take only O of n time, and then we will search O of n plus k search time pattern. So we'll take O of n time again for the pattern to search for the pattern, and k is, so if we have multiple occurrences of P in T, like for the given text T is equal to A B D E F. To search for BD, we have BD here, we have BD here. So for this multiple occurrences, it will take time again. So we have 2 occurrences, it will take O of n plus 2. So it will be like, anyways, it will be like O of m plus n, it will be in linear time. So suffix trees help us to get this done in O of m instead of O of mn. So we'll see that. So here we are given a pattern P and a text T. So for construction of the suffix tree, we'll take at least O of m time. So after pre-processing the suffix tree, we can just pass this text pattern to this suffix tree, and we'll be able to quickly decide if this occurs in this particular T. Also, we can also find if all the occurrences of P in T, if there are multiple occurrences. If let us take it is XA. So we have XA here and we have XA here. So it will be like 2 occurrences, but it's AX. So generally it's not here in this particular tree. So if the pattern doesn't match this particular tree, then it is we just print that the pattern doesn't exist. So for this pre-processing, we take O of m, as I already told, for a given particular pattern P. When we traverse, if we don't get stuck traversing the pattern, then the pattern is present inside the text. But when we are passing this AX, we get stuck. So that means that this is not present inside this particular text. So each leaf in the subtree, so all these are leaf nodes, so each leaf in the subtree we reach corresponds to an occurrence. So if we reach particular leaf node when we are traversing, so this is the occurrence where we'll find. So if we are just passing XA, so if we pass XA, if we reach 1 and 4, so it means like we are able to get one occurrence and 2 occurrences at 1 and 4th position. So it's like first position and 4th position, 1 2 3 4. So we're able to get 2 occurrences. So these leaf nodes letters give us the uh, number of occurrences we have of the particular pattern, the particular text tree. So by traversing the by traversing through this sub trees, we'll be able to find k occurrences if the pattern exists in O of n plus k time, as we already told in the previous slide. Another common application using suffix trees is we have to find the longest common substring in a given 2 strings. So first we are given 2 strings. So let it be S1 is equal to A, B, D, E, D, F, C, D. So S2 is equal to A, B, D, E, A, C, D. So we have some common substrings. So CD is common, CD is common, ABD is common, ABD is common. But we have to get the longest common substring in this. So we have to find the longest common substring S. So S is ABDE, which is common to S1 and S2. So we'll see how. So first we'll build a suffix tree for S1 and S2. A combined suffix tree for S1 and S2 completely. So each leaf represents either a suffix from one of the S1 and S2 or suffix from both S1 and S2. So with an example, I'll explain how this is done. And also mark each internal node V with a 1 or 2 if there is a leaf in the subtree of V representing a suffix from S1 or S2. So each leaf descendant, every node will have leaf descendants, right? So from the string S1, and also we have some leaf descendants, and also from string S2 we have leaf descendants. So if we are able to get to the same leaf descendants, we'll be able to say that this is the maximal common substring, or else it's not the maximal common maximum. Whatever we reach in the middle of the node, that will be the maximum common substring. So the path label from the internal node so we just use we just mark both the nodes just to make sure that we are reaching to a particular path. So this is related to that. I'll explain in the example. So here a suffix tree is drawn for both S1 and S2 together, and the nodes are marked with S1 and S2, like which path. So if this XA, so XA belongs to S1. So here till this one X1, it belongs to S1. But till X, so we still have X. So for suffix X, yes, X dollar, this path belongs to S1 and this path belongs to S1 comma S2. For XS, it belongs only to S2 because there is no terminating symbol dollar after X. So this belongs to S2. Similarly, we will be labeling everything that belongs to S1 and S2, or S1 or S2 individually. So when we find S1 and S2 parts, so this is for only one, and S1 and S2 here ABX, and S1 S2 for XB. One second. Sorry, it's a bx. So here we have bx again, here we have bx. So here we have dollar again common. So all the common substrings are dollar, bx, abx, and x, common substrings x. That's it. So here we have 4 common substrings between S1 and S2. Out of this we have the longest. So like this we'll be able to find the longest one among the common substrings. So we can either do like this, or we can simply concatenate S1 and S2, and we just label from 0 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we just remove the terminating symbol. We can or we can still have it and concatenate from from here to like 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll concatenate and we'll just draw as a single suffix tree. That visualization will be much easier. And if you are able to draw like this with 2 suffix trees, it's a bit complicated to understand how to draw, but still the concept is same. We'll be able to locate the common suffixes in both the subtrees, and we'll find the longest among them. So this is one of the classic application which can be solved using suffix trees. And coming to the conclusion, I attached some of the references which helped me a lot in preparing this presentation. One of this is textbook, and these two are the YouTube tutorials which helped me get all the information together. Thank you so much.